What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about a cocktail of crypto mining stocks today. We're going to talk about CleanSpark, Marathon, WGMI, IREN, Riot, Hut 8, Bitfarms, and Fufu for Cal, Matthew K, Michaela, and Savio Fernandez. Let's get started. All right, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Being that I've talked about this stock and probably like the next 5 stocks basically daily throughout the stock week, we're going to fly through this pretty quick. CleanSpark consolidating. We're waiting on it to break out. Whenever it breaks out, it will likely go to $36. When will we know that it breaks out? Whenever it closes, probably any given day above $20.60. We get a day to close above $20.60. This would be the highest daily close that we've had since April 24th. Actually, technically since March 28th. I'm sorry. April 1st, March 28th, that time frame there. It was the weekend, right? That's why there's a big gap there. Whenever we close above there, that will be when we're breaking out. Where are we going to break out to? $36 is what I'm thinking. When will that happen? I don't know. Soon. But soon could be weeks, could be a month. I don't think it'll be multiple months, but it could be multiple weeks, that's for sure. Either way, I don't think CleanSpark's going to break down. If it does, we can talk about it then, but that's that for CleanSpark. Marathon, very similar boat, different ranges though, right? We'll know that this thing's probably ready to break out. Ooh, maybe let's do a fib on here. High to low. I think that's fair. Yeah, it'll probably be ready to break out once we get back above. I'm going to give it the 886, actually. I'm going to say when it breaks above $30.86, that's when I think it's going to break out. And its next high would probably be anywhere from $43 to $58. Heavier emphasis on that $58, $56 area. And you absolutely could go beyond that. I don't think it'll break down. If it does, we'll go over it then. But that's Marathon. WGMI, this one I have not talked about. Valkyrie Bitcoin Miners ETF. What miners are in it, I don't know, but you can look that up yourself if you're curious. From a relative high to low of this move that like sprung you upwards, right? This is the end phase of your move. You're interacting. You look very bullish and constructive. Yes, you might come down a little bit. You could come down to $17.70. You're at $21.57 now. You might hold this area. It's very common. Either way, whether you go down a little bit and then come up, or you hold this area and then go up, I bet your next target area is going to be $36.79. You're at $21.57 now. Absolutely, you could move beyond that. But if you break below like $17, then we can talk about maybe even, I'd say, if you break below $15.87. Then we can talk about the repercussions to the downside. But I don't think that you will. I think you'll hold that $16 to $18 area as your next low. You might even hold this area and then move up. Let's actually look at the daily. Not confident one way. Your daily looks bullish, but just with how the fib looks, I wouldn't be surprised if you went a little bit lower. Again, that $18 area being around your 123, you do go a little bit below it, so 18 to 16 could be on the table, but time will tell. That's WGMI. IREN. Also likely going to move down. Likely it is. So from a high point here to a low point there, likely you will see a movement that takes you down to $8.64. You're at $9.43 right now. I think I've been calling for that for the past few weeks, probably since this high here. Likely you would hold support at $8.64, or at least somewhere in this area between here at $9.43 and $8.64. If not, you might go down to $7.82. If you break $7.82, we can talk about it, but I think you'll hold this general area of support. Move on up. $17.99 is your minimum target, but you could move as high as about $35, $36 as well. So that's IREN, and potentially even higher than that. I mean, if we do an actual, like, if this is like some kind of bull flag from a low to a high, let's say you go down to about there, whatever, right? Around this high point here, around your 886, your next move would probably take you up to about $30. But I think you could move higher than that. Anyways, that's IREN. Riot. Riot, like CleanSpark and Marathon, is just biding its time. We will know that it's breaking out when it closes above $19.12. And whenever it does break out, it's likely going to go to about $36 as well. That's my personal opinion. From a high point to a low point here, 1618 is at $35.47. I bet you go just above that. You could go even further, but that's my thoughts. We'll talk about it In other circumstances, if it goes lower, we'd like to see it close below like $9 on any given week or multi-day period. Then I'd be concerned that it goes lower, but until then, I definitely do think it's going to go up. When is it going to go up? Same thing as the other ones. We don't know. It's going to happen soon. Probably, I mean, it could happen next week. It could happen 3 weeks from now. It could happen 6 weeks from now. Probably multiple weeks, but not multiple months. That's my thoughts. Hut 8, this is where things are going to slow down a little bit because I haven't talked about these ones as much. Hut dropping off a cliff a little bit. Makes sense. It had a nice pump up. The other miners haven't started to run yet, so from a low to a high, I would bet that you go down. This is a pretty strong move up. You really could hold 13.24 as support. You might move down all the way down to $9.93, $9.09. You could hold just above that at about $10 as well. Don't be sad or mad if it goes down to the 618. That's okay. It would still be a higher low, right, if you went down to this area. But I would say I'm kind of personally expecting that you hold this 13.20 area to 11.40 area. That's my personal expectation. And after that, we can talk about you moving up when you break above $20.80. That's Hut, Bitfarms, but until then, I'm not going to give projections just yet. Bitfarms, lackluster, probably going to move down from a low point here. That's not the low, but from a low point, relative low to a high point. I would think you want to move down to $2, $2.04 to $1.93. You could move down to that area, probably closer to $2. Both of them are very close to $2. But if you hold 244, as you have been over the weeks, then I think you're fine. If you don't close a week below 244, you don't have to go down to $2. But it's hard to say. It is kind of hard to say. The weekly RSI doesn't look the best, but it doesn't look the worst. It is bullishly. It's kind of bearishly postured, but in a bullish area right now, right? It doesn't like to be below the 50, which I will say is a nice look. It's definitely in an uptrend, but it could move down. It looks like a double top. I wonder what from this low to high. I mean, your expected area would take you right down to about $2 and $1.93, so that area does come up again. It just all depends, man. It all depends. Can you hold 244? If you go a little bit below 244, that's okay. If you wick below it, it's okay, but I wouldn't like to see you close multiple days below 244. Yeah, so if-then kind of statements, but I do think it's moving down. I personally would think 204 to $1.93, but I give it the opportunity to hold this area, but time will tell. Time will tell. If it does hold this area and we get a close above 311, let's talk about it again. If it closes above 311 before it closes below 244, likely you are moving up. That's Bitfarms. And then the last, but not the least, maybe it is the least, I don't know. I've never heard of this one. fufu. From a high point to a low point, I like it. I think it wants to move up. I think it's going to move up to about $8, and is that 32 cents? What is that there? $8.32 to $9.65. That's probably your next target area. Yeah. Yep, I feel somewhat confident in that from a high point to a low point here. 1272, 1414 in that area, probably above 832, but I don't know if you reach for the 1618 just yet. Let's see how you do with that 832 to 965. If you do break above that, we could talk about potentially like 1177 to 1450, somewhere in that range. But for now, I definitely do think you're moving up. If you move down, it's going to be minute. I think that you're holding a nice kind of structure with this upward trajectory. That wasn't drawn the best, but you see what I'm going for. Anyways, that's that, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.